Tubeless tires. Yeah, you got yourself a bike that has tubeless tires on it and you're going, yep, I want to switch out my tires. Not an easy task. Let's go over what needs to be done and what you need to be looking out for when you switch out a tubeless tire. Yeah, and this is why mechanics charge per wheel for. It's definitely a pretty decent uplift and some things we have to double check. But yeah, we'll go over that after this.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously I have a garage shop. Take scary how to use one bike at a time. If you want to be kept up to date on latest projects and topics, please like and subscribe.
Hey, welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hey, I'm going to do a tubeless swap on this checkpoint from Trek. This customer has brought in the bike for a standard tune and she wanted to do new tires. Well, what's all involved with new tires? Let's check that out. First, we need to tint the wheels off. This is a through axle system, and what you just saw me do is I knocked the chain all the way down to the smallest cog for that rear wheel to pop down. I'm just going to focus on one wheel and show you what the problematic pieces of this could be, but without further ado, let's dive into this. All right, we start by removing the wheel. Got the chain into the small cassette. Oh, that was actually kind of loose. It was not tight. Yeah, so these need to be at a certain Newton meter, and it'll be stamped on the inside there. Once you release that, then you can either release the clutch on it, so the hanger can jump down if it has a clutch, and you want to pull that derailleur out of the way as you drop that wheel down. Kind of tight in this area, so keep mindful of that, and you want to set this aside. Okay, you definitely don't want to do this in your living room, and you do not want to do it in a place where you want to keep it clean. So we're going to take first the tire off, but mindful, there might be still some liquid inside there. Oh, this is all kinds of weird. Anyway, this is a great opportunity for me to double check all this while I'm doing the tune-up, but we're going to focus on this guy here. First, you need to release all the air, put the valve up to the top. This is where you can get if it hasn't dried out inside there, it might be a liquidy hot mess. So keep mindful, some extra rags set aside. Definitely get a Teflon style, quick stick style tire lever to help you with this. There's so many different ways to pop it, but you want to get it to pop inside that rim well, because it usually has a very extreme tolerances on this. So you want to work it around on one side, and be mindful there's no tube in here, and you go to the other side, you want to get that to pop down too. So we're lucking out, this is pretty easy. Other ones, sometimes you have to get really creative, take like a rod or something to roll it. There's a whole bunch of different videos out there, but this is how we need to release that bead. And you want to release it all the way around. It becomes pliable enough to take this tire off. And thinking there might be still liquid in there, keep it at a vertical plane. And in this case, there's no liquid. So it dried out. It's ready for its refreshment anyway. But that being said, we're replacing the tires and we're going to set that aside. I like to take a little, you can take a rag with a little bit of rubbing alcohol to get some of this extra gunk off, especially if there's still a little bit of dampness in there, which this one does not feel that way. So there's the old tire. All right. Cleaning and inspecting. So cleaning and inspecting, you take a rag and you want to get all the extra gunk off. You want that rim tape to go up into that rim bead hook. And if you see any kind of compromise of that, there may cause some leakage, burpage, whatever you want to call it, trouble, what I like to call it, seating the new tire with sealant. So you want to inspect that, clean it, get all the old stuff off, and this is where you can clean out the valve as much as you can. And if you want to take the valve core out, you take the valve core out and you poke it through. I like to use a spoke that has some thread still left on it from the pokey in to kind of pull out any extra gunk that may have built up in there. That is very important because if you don't have a fast airflow in here, that's going to limit your ability to get that tire to seal up with high pressure. So that's a big deal that we need to work on. So we want to make sure this is clean, and if we need to blow it out, clean it out, what have you, that's going to be a big hang up if you have any of those issues. Okay, so we got this all clean. So we got this all cleaned out. Now to install the new tire. These are the same tires, so sometimes they'll have a directional or a tire that's designed for rear, one designed for front, and on either or you want to look for a directional arrow. Some tires may not have it, but a lot of them do, so you want to try to identify and find that first, and then you can proceed. And it's usually kind of a V direction going the forward rotational direction. So looking at this, I got the size, I found the brand, it's made in Taiwan. PSI on this is a Bontrager, Tubeless-ready. When I say tubeless, oh, there it is, the directional arrow. I like to put the valve core by logoing. This way you can triangulate any issues, usually with tubes, but with tubeless it still is the same thing, and also it's a professionalism kind of deal. So you want to get that tire to go over that valve, this valve hole here. You want that first bead to go along this side, on the inside there, or the bottom side. Hook that, then so gently use your thumbs to get it to seat over. There we go. And that's where sometimes, this is where a lot of manufacturers and brands and all that can really get you tricky. Sometimes if you're using the same brand with the same rim tire combo, sometimes they're designed for each other, the tolerances and all that. Makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so there we go. Got that first bead in there. So this also doubles up as a refresh. So just in case you want to refresh your sealant, you pop your tire open to about this gap that you roll that second bead over. You just want this gap underneath here so you can kind of pull it up. Okay, so a lot of these will go by weight. That's why I have a little scale here. And this one, I put my great tip. You know, your protein jug scoops, save these guys. They're great for shop use for weighing and liquid, and especially for tubeless, I found. So I can put this on here, and I'll turn on the scale. That'll give me a 0 out. Then I can apply my sealant, mix it up a little bit. And this is the Silca. You can use whatever sealant you want, but definitely look up and see what the manufacturer's suggestion on that particular size of tire. So I do 2 because I don't want to fill one up too high. I'm going to do 3 fluid ounces. So I got that one to 2, a little extra. And that puts me over to 3, about 3.5. So that gives a good coating on the 40 on this particular one. So here's the tricky bit, and this is where you're going to have a hot mess. There's not a huge volume to work with. So this is where my irrigating days comes into play when I was on the farm. You just get yourself just a little bit of a gap here. Keep your tire lever quick and handy, and you're just going to pour this in. Not injecting through the valve because that's what will gum up everything. You can with some brands, but with this, Silca has a lot of has fibers in there. So this is the best way of doing it without going through the valve on this here. So you got your pool, so you roll your pool away from where you're working, which is to be the bottom. It still may drip up on your toes if you have flip-flops on or your shoes. Then you're going to oh so gently move that bead over into that cavity, like so. Yeah, boom, there we go. All right, so, and I move it back down away from the valve. Okay, this is the tricky bit. Okay, this is the tricky bit. Your standard pump will not do. You'll need to get a pump that has what they call like a charge or a supercharge that shoots out air fast, or your compressor and get it up to 100 psi in the tank to have enough pressure air to push through there. If you have a supercharged pump, it'll already have a press to valve adapter. If you have a compressor, you'll need to get one of these press to valve adapter here, like mine, and then you put it over the valve core. Unscrew the press to valve out, and you put this over on top, tight as possible. Oh, what's going on here is gumming up. Sometimes that, oh, my glove is catching. That's what's going on. All right, so you got that tight. So when I put it on there, it'll inflate, and you'll have to sometimes massage the tire to catch that bead, and it has enough air pushing it, so it's forcing that tire out to the rim bed. Okay, this is the loud and nasty, scary moment, because when you inject that with either the supercharger or your compressor, it's going to inflate that tire, and then it's going to start seating and make these high ping, 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 ping noises and scare the living shit out of you. So put some earplugs in, whatever you need to do to not be scared to death. And then I'm going to go charge up my compressor and get it to full compression, and then charge it up. So while it's compressing and charging up, I'm going to do the second tire, pull it off real quick, set it up, and seat it. And then we'll review what you do after that. Woo-wee, that wasn't too bad. It didn't scare the heck out of me. So I got them to seat, and I was checking the bead on them. Then I top it off with my pump, so I have a good gauge. I don't have a good gauge on my compressor, so you wanted the bead to seat all the way around evenly, like all tires. So you take your tire, you got it to the PSI rating, then you want to move that liquid around. So for me, no damage to the bottom, and I just do a little swishy swish and go around. What that is doing is coating the inside of the rim bed, the tire bead area, and all of that. And during riding, it'll cover all those things. I like to set these up, and I like to let them sit for I'll spin them a couple times, but this is in the process of a tune-up, so I'm going to be moving these around anyway, truing them. I do the messy part this first before I do any truing or cleaning the rim or rotating that, because if you do that at the end, you're just getting crap all over, or potentially getting crap over everything. And that way, you get the scary part out of the way, right? Rip it off like a Band-Aid, and then you proceed to do the tune-up. So the valve cores are fairly new on this, so I shouldn't have any problems there. I got it to 40 on both on the compressor. Get up to 50, which is the PSI rating. You can go a little higher if you're having problems with that bead to pop. And this one looks like it's seated all the way around, both the front and rear, so we're good to go. So yeah, the reason why I want to do this first, get it out of the way. It's a mess, but prevent that mess. We were pretty lucky; we didn't have any messes. If you take your time, and also, always do it when you can have time. Don't do it right before a ride. Plus, I like to go through. Oh, man, there's just a jiggle in here I don't like. I'll have to check that for you, buddy. So we're gonna clean the wheels, true them, and all that. So I do proceed with the tune-up. But for you, if you're just doing the swap out, then you put the bike back together. If you have it on a stand, spin it a couple times, let it let it, seat. I like to let it sit for a couple hours in the afternoon. Make sure they don't burp, because the worst thing you'd have is go for that ride and all of a sudden it goes down, and then you're not good to go, because then you're using CO2 cartridges, or worst case, shit happens and all of a sudden you're throwing a tube in there and you got sealant everywhere and it's a hot mess. You want to make sure these are staying solid for that first ride. Then I'd ride it around first, around neighborhood or parking lot, whatever, about a mile or so, just to make sure everything's good. And if you like a lower pressure, then knock it down a little bit at a time. Take it for another spin. Knock it, because you're compromising that sealant connection on that kind of thing. And you want to make sure you have enough pressure in there to make sure that seal holds up if you knock it to a lower pressure. Some people like to go down low. That's why the sealants or tubeless tires are the thing for mountain bikes. That's where they came from, is because you wanted to ride that 15, 20 PSI tire, and then you were getting snake bites because you'd hit something with your rim, and then all of a sudden you have to change a flat. You go that low, you're still going to ding your damn rim, idiot. But anyway, I'm not going to go there. I just did. Well, whatever. So there lies switching out tubeless tires. It'll stay liquid for a while. They stay on the side 60 to 90 days, and you need a refresh. I'm saying more like 6 months to 9 months, depending how much you used it, got contaminants and so forth. It'll become like a booger in a bottle sometimes. It'll roll in there, and all of a sudden you'll have this little thing come out of. Make sure you clean that out. Give it a good little wipe if you need to. But you can visually inspect it, and the refreshing is basically putting fresh liquid in there so it keeps doing its job. That's the misnomer that people forget to learn or not listen when they're going tubeless, is every 6 months, 9 months, or each beginning of the season, you'll have to refresh it. Therefore, get that big bottle. They have a system 1 and system 2, or step 1, step 2 for theirs. So they have more of a liquidy that has more of the carbon fiber little chunks in it. So to refresh it, you can do it with one, I'm sure. But in that case, and you just go enjoy your ride. Hopefully that clears up and makes a couple tricks that you've probably seen and so forth. That's how I do it. Had pretty much success. But when you're inspecting, that's where a mechanic might go like, you need new tape. It's compromised, it doesn't re-stick, or the valve is so gunged up you can't clear it out. You can get valves for like 20 bucks off of Amazon that work just fine. You don't have to pay the absorbent, muck off ones or whatever. Nothing wrong with them, but you can get cheaper. Then the sealants, get those from, that's the performance portion of it. So you want to make sure you get the proper brand on that, put the expenditure on that. The tape, get a good tape. But the process, I use the muck off tape as well. I've used others. If you're going to be doing your own taping and retaping, get a hot gun off of Amazon for 15, 20 bucks. You need to heat that stuff up to really kind of seal. Watch a couple of videos on that. Heat that needle before you pull it through to push that valve through there. It'll give you the best seal possible. And that's been working well for me. And also be careful with the heat gun and all that stuff. It adds a new layer of threat to yourself and your house and everything. So make sure you unplug it and don't burn down your house. But in any case, that's what is all involved, and all the risks involved in doing the actual tubeless setup and switch out of tires. So keep that in mind when you dive into something like this. This is what it is. Performance factor, it's great, but there is offset, the mechanical part of it. If you're willing to do it yourself, you're going to have to get some stuff. If you're willing to pay the 20, 25 bucks for your local shop to just switch it out for you, that might save you a lot of trouble. I'm doing the tune-up anyway. This gave me, extra, cost me another 45 minutes to set these up. Then I proceed to true the wheels and so forth. Yeah, it is a bigger lift than just putting a tube in a tire. So that is where your cost barometer is going to change. So is it really for you? Or you already have it and want to switch back to tubes? There's a lot, you don't have to stick with tubeless if you don't want to do tubeless. You can throw a regular tube in there and call it good. For the recreational rider, if you want the tubeless, it has a self-sealant concept. To get a tube with sealant in it, and then you're right there. It might be a little bit heavier, but if you're performance worried or pace and all that, then go there. But you don't have to go the full 9 yards. I know I'm bucking the corporate Kool-Aid when they say that, but it's actually, honestly, for you, it's a goddamn pain in the ass if you have a problem out in the field. If you don't want to have that pain in the ass, you want to carry an extra tube and be able to fix your flat without having a hot mess on your hand, well, that's the thing you want to consider. In any case, hopefully this helps you out. The benefit factor I see more on mountain bikes and gravel bikes than road, but hey, it's people like their road sealants, tubeless, so to each his own. Thanks for hanging out with me. Other tips and tricks are below in the description. If you or have any other processes or experience and so forth, please throw down in the comments below. It's a community here. Also, it makes this channel, so thank you for watching. Much appreciated. And if it's nice in your neck of woods, please go for a ride. And until next time, from the garage, have a wonderful day. Don't explode. Oh my God, it's scary.